Inside the Birds is back. What's going on, everyone? Geoff, Mosher, Adam Caplan. Happy Wednesday. We have a game review podcast, not a tape review, but a game review podcast on Wednesday. The Eagles avoided the curse of Joe Webb Tuesday night against Washington. They beat Washington, a severely undermanned Washington team, 27-17. They get to 7-7, Adam. By the way, Jalen Hurts gets his first victory, I believe, over an NFC East team. So that was big for him. He came back, showed that he can run, showed that he can throw. A lot of good things that we saw. I always start off with kind of a big picture look at what we saw. So I'll start off with you. Your big picture takeaway from this game.
I'll tell you what is interesting, because we've been asked this, and I know in talk radio was the subject. What would happen if they would get behind? Could Jalen Hurts throw his way back? I understand some people were like, what is he doing with this throw? He missed a wide open Gainwell for a touchdown, and he threw it to Smith. That was not the right read. But overall, he played a very efficient game. He showed he could bring the team back. I understand the running game was still unbelievable. They had some unforced errors. So totally on that, had nothing to do with Washington. Once they got out of their own way, they absolutely kicked Washington's ass. Their injuries had nothing to do with the Eagles' run game. Literally nothing. William Jackson doesn't stop the run. Landon Collins is sort of a jack linebacker, coverage guy, a little bit in the box, but it had nothing to do with Jonathan Allen and Deron Payne, who they blew off the football. In fact, there was a play where they stood Jonathan Allen up. I'm like, is he actually trying to get in there? They just moved him. Right. So their double teams beat him. I cannot wait to see what the tape looks like. Mm-hmm. But once the Eagles got out of their own way, then they dominated. Now, it got a little sketchy. And I give Goedert a ton of credit. We'll get into that. That's where not working with these guys. That's where you would think he would struggle, because he only had 3 practices with the ones. Right. He just got there.
Right. And I have issue with Jonathan Gannon and how they went after Goedert that we'll get into. But for this game, for your big picture view, they were down 10-0. And they did have to throw the ball a little bit more than you might think. And I thought Jalen Hurts did a good job with that. Absolutely.
He did. I thought he handled it well. So big picture is show they could handle adversity. Get down 10-0. Remember, you texted me in the second quarter, right before they scored. Mm-hmm. And I didn't disagree with your assessment. I'm like, what is going on with it? This is like, and the crazy thing, the rain was not supposed to start until 10 p.m. Eastern. It started in the middle of the second quarter. I'm like,
no, how crazy was that?
I don't know. I was like, man, if you're an Eagles fan, you got to be scratching your head, because you had said, and you're right, it was 16 days since they played their last game. And the Goedert mistake, we'll get into all that stuff. But overall, they handled adversity well. That's very important for a young football team and a new coaching staff. And if you're an Eagles fan, you got to feel damn proud of it, because they showed they could handle it, and then they finally put them away.
Yeah, there was a lot of adversity that the Eagles were also dealing with, not nearly as much as Washington, but I think we tried to emphasize in the pregame show, and Jason Avant did an excellent job of articulating it from a player standpoint of how difficult it is when you haven't played a game in 16 days. Yeah. Washington had adversity, no doubt about it. I'm not going to downplay it, but they at least did play last Sunday against the Cowboys. The Eagles had 16 days off, and Jalen Hurts had 23 days because he didn't play against the Jets in between games. So you kind of saw it. There was that rustiness at the beginning, the 2 turnovers that you saw, the drops, and Jalen Hurts missing a few guys. But as the game went on, they did get stronger in that area. And again, for that long layoff and to shake off the cobwebs, then find yourself in a hole to come back, I agree, was a good thing to see. This game reminded me of a game, Adam. You always talk about how I remember things that are just all right. I had it in my head, and it turned out to be exactly like I thought. Do you remember 2019? The Eagles, remember, they got to play 4 straight division games to end the year. Carson Wentz brings them back. That game against the Giants, if you remember, it was December 9th, I think, at the Linc. Eli Manning had to start the game. He wasn't the starter anymore. They'd already moved on to Daniel Jones. But Daniel Jones got hurt, so Eli started. Eli threw 2 touchdowns in the first half to Darius Slayton that were both like bomb touchdowns, and the Giants were up 17-3 at half. But if you really looked at the game, the Giants weren't playing that well. They just got 2 bomb touchdowns. Everything else was – and the Eagles were just falling all over themselves. And then they come out in the second half and they dominate the Giants. They tie the game, and then they win in overtime. And I kept thinking to myself, if the Eagles just stop tripping all over themselves, if they stop with the penalties, stop with the I didn't feel like their errors were forced by Washington. I just
exactly
the ball, the ball bounces off Dallas Goedert's heel and right into Landon Collins. That's just your Tuesday night craziness right there. So my big picture takeaway was that I felt like if they just cleaned it up a little bit and got back to the basics, they would get back in the game and win. They did. And, I had a secondary thought that I just lost in my train of thought, just on a big picture look at just the way they were able to kind of – here's it is. I'm going to be a little bit critical here.
Okay.
I really did not like – they dominated statistically in the second half, but they had a chance to put their foot on Washington's throat. Washington lost Landon Collins. They lost William Jackson. They lost the lineman who went out, the defensive end. Yeah, Wise. And they were already down 14 other guys, right? You got to stick your foot on the throat of that team. And you know what, Nick Sirianni? Yeah, you stuck with the field goal in the third quarter. It could have been 4th and 1. I absolutely would have taken the points off the board there. I would have given myself 4th and 1. I would have QB sneaked my way to a first down and then tried to get a touchdown there. And
they probably would have gotten it too. The way they did.
Yeah, probably the way they were playing. And if I didn't get it, I'm making Washington drive on me. I'm sorry. That Washington team was undermanned. You had a chance to choke them out, and you didn't do it. So I'm kind of disappointed from both
you sound passionate.
Nick Sirianni and Jonathan Gannon for just not being aggressive when they could have been at high reward times, low risk, high reward times.
Yeah, I mean, overall, before we get started on the offense, we'll go to the defense. I think they have to feel that, because remember now we're on a short week. This is Wednesday morning right now. We're back on the air. In fact, this is crazy. Our schedule is the show today at 6 a.m. Eastern on Wednesday. Like Q&A drops Thursday. And our Friday show will be a combination of tape study, which we've gotten from our sources, plus a preview of the Eagles-Giants game.
Right.
Then me, Cosell, Vaughn, and you, the four of us are back Friday. Mixed up. Sunday morning at 10 a.m. Eastern. We're back. It's just crazy.
Yeah.
And, boy, I love it. Vaughn brought it, three of us on our pregame show on Wednesday. Tuesday. Goodness gracious, I can't get it right. Tuesday at 4 Eastern. Man, they gave us the early numbers, one of the biggest numbers we've ever done. It's just, I guess it's a specialty game because it's Tuesday.
Yeah, nothing else going on for people. So that was good. Yeah, we appreciate the big crowd.
Yeah,
absolutely. And like you said, Q&A will drop 6 a.m. Thursday as usual, and then we'll be back, as you said, with our Friday podcast. That will be half review of this game from a tape standpoint, and then preview of a Giants game as the Eagles face a short turnaround before they play the Giants at home on Sunday. It is, as we always tell you, getting a lot closer to Christmas. Now, it might be too far or too close, I'm saying, to be able to get something delivered to you. So maybe going to Deal Dash right now to try to win something to give somebody as a gift. You might not get it in time, but you also know you're probably getting some money this Christmas. You'll probably have plenty of opportunities to win something on Deal Dash when all is said and done. And Deal Dash is the online shopping platform that's actually fun. It's the longest running penny auction website and app around. Some of the things we've seen go on Deal Dash are just too good to be true. A car, $900. A brand new TV, less than $2. So don't be a loser and stop paying full retail price for the things you want and get on Deal Dash. Go to DealDash.com. or don't download the app. And when you register, use the promo code ITB for a special offer for some bonus free bids. All right, let's move quickly here into the offense and what we saw. I mean, we should start with Jalen Hurts, of course. Again, I know that everybody saw it. I mean, there were some throws that you wished he would have made early on. The throwing double cover to Devontae Smith in the corner of the end zone when it appeared that Kenny Gainwell was wide open. Was not a good. That was not a good decision. And we've seen some of that from Jalen Hurts. There was another play where Gainwell was open and Hurts didn't see him. But for me, Adam, what was more important is, it's funny. I said in the pregame show, we'll know how healthy he is, whether they're under center and just having him hand off, or if they're in the shotgun and they're doing a little zone read. And you know what? They did both. So kudos to Nick Sirianni and the play calling. I thought he mixed things up very well. And I thought Hurts looked pretty good. There were some times he ran. I thought maybe he slid or looked a little tender, but whatever he was feeling, to me, it didn't inhibit inhibit his play very much. I thought he played well.
Oh yeah, I thought Hurts managed the game really well. Wasn't perfect. He has some things that'll happen during a game. This happens almost every game with him, where guys will get open and he doesn't throw the football to. Either doesn't throw it, he holds onto it, gets, use the Cosell term, gets stuck in the pocket.
Yep.
It's not so much inaccuracy. It's like, okay, that's the read, that's the progression, throw it, and he doesn't. Okay, he needs reps. He just needs to keep playing. But overall, I love how he brought the team back. Very efficient. He got in a rhythm too. The run game helps. They threw off the run game, which is what I've been waiting for. Goedert absolutely dominated. He's an absolute animal, except for a couple plays. As you mentioned earlier, the interception, and he'll learn from it because he stopped running.
Yep.
And maybe you could. I mean, I thought it was a touchdown because I thought it went off his heel and it didn't. The refs, they blew the whistle. So to me, shouldn't that have been a touchdown? They screwed up.
On which player are you talking about?
On the interception, I thought for sure it hit. I couldn't tell at first. I had to replay it 4 times. It hits Goedert's heel, pops up in the air, and Washington gets it. And I'm thinking the guy runs it in, and I'm thinking, wait a minute, did they just blow the whistle? Because I guess they couldn't. They assumed that it hit the ground.
Yes, I think that it's because they blew the whistle. Right.
Yeah, I mean that's they got Eagles got a huge break there.
They did.
But Goedert is just he's an amazing athlete, super athletic. He does everything well, but the one thing he does this from time to time is he tries to run before he has the football. When he's dropped the football, it's almost always the same thing. And then the screen pass. I mean, it was so perfectly executed. I'm sorry for people in fantasy like yourself who needed that catch. Yeah, sorry to bring that up.
So for everybody who knows, I lost in my PPR first round playoffs. I lost by 1 point. So if Goedert had caught any one of those 2 that he dropped, I would have won easily because he would have had way more than a point or 2. I mean, he would have had so much green in front of him. But
perfect execution. Whatever. Yeah, exactly. It's set up well. The overall Hurts' numbers 20, 26, 296. He took a sack that clearly he needed to understand where he was. He needed to have just a sense of where you are in the pocket. But again, you continue to play. He'll learn. This is all stuff that's correctable. That's the good thing about Hurts' stuff. I know some of it's repetitive. We continue to point it out. It's our job. We're not cheerleaders here, but we'll point it out when it looks good and when it doesn't look good. He has some habits that need to be cleaned up. And as you put out for us back in the spring, there's some stuff with his mechanics. The ball hangs up there. The Goedert adjustment on that big catch down the field, that was an unbelievable adjustment. Took it away from the defender.
Yep.
I love it. It's funny. We were laughing. The screen to Rager, they hit. Now that's one they hit. They haven't hit much with them. You saw his acceleration in the rain, by the way, And how about Greg Ward making up for his drop?
How about that? I mean,
another drop touchdown, but then it makes an unbelievable catch. I mean, you can't figure this stuff out.
That catch really, to me, it set the. I mean, that sealed the game. Obviously, it did. But I mean,
sure.
Washington's driving. They're making it a game, and the Eagles. You know that they at least get a field goal. It puts them up by a touchdown, but they go and score the touchdown. And what a great play by Greg Ward, kind of turning in the air to bring that. He looked like they looked like Stephon Diggs on that play. I mean, it was incredible. Of all the people who you would pick to not make that play, it would be Greg Ward, maybe, just because you just don't see that. And yeah, you're right. Again, he had another touchdown come off his fingertips. But man, kind of 2 unlikely heroes on that drive, if you think about it, because as you mentioned, Jalen Rager set that up with a really nice catch and run after the catch there. And then, of course, Ward, gives you the touchdown. So, I mean, that impressive play there. And we kind of talked in the pregame show about would there be a Robin to the Batman? If Batman was Devontae Smith, would there be another wide receiver? Well, Batman was really Dallas Goedert with a 7 for 135.
I've just had this on that. I'd said probably 3 or 4 times for the last couple of weeks, the pass game must go through Goedert, not Smith.
I agree.
It's Goedert 1, Smith 1A. Goedert sets the table. My goodness. And it's the first time he and Hurts hooked up like this.
Yep.
Because we saw with Minshew, and we were wondering, could they do it? And yes, the answer. So that is huge for this playoff drive here against the Giants who have a bad defense. Then they play Washington again. So now that they've put that on tape. And the other thing I want to give the coaches credit for, they gave them so many unscouted looks. Hurts. Sirianni loves to say that.
Mm-hmm.
They had some stuff in the first half. I was like, I've not seen that before. I haven't seen that play. Formationally, and They went with Howard over Scott exclusively. It was just the Sanders and Howard show until I'm not sure if Sanders re-injured his ankle because he really didn't play in the fourth quarter.
Yeah, I was wondering if that was more for protection since he got hurt last time in the fourth quarter,
Yeah.
but we'll find out more as the week goes on. But I was one of those points of emphasis we talked about. We were really interested to see Miles Sanders and Jordan Howard play a game together and be able to finish it this time because they couldn't against New Orleans. And the result was you got about 200 yards on 33 carries between those guys. Exactly 200 yards, I think, on 33 carries between those two. And that's pretty dominant.
Incredible.
And that's the thunder and lightning combo that you expected. And I give a lot of props to Miles Sanders. That's now 2 games in a row where he's over 120 yards. His 131 was a career high. He averaged 7.3 per run. And then again, for the second straight game, his longest run came in the second half, that 38-yarder that he ripped off against the Jets. I think it was a 34-yarder. So he is showing finally, when given the opportunity, that he can kind of handle that bigger load and he can get better as the game goes on. And just like Goedert, the offense is going to run through him, the pass offense during the stretch. The rushing offense has to go through him down the stretch here against these division teams. And he's showed, at least in the last 2 weeks, he's capable and he can handle it.
Yeah, you got the dirty yards, which I talked about in the pregame show. He got some of the short stuff. Howard, I don't think he quite looked as good as he did before the knee sprain, but he still averaged 4.6 yards per carry. This is an amazing – I was just doing some research. The last time the Eagles ran for less than 101 yards against the Buccaneers in Week 6, and in that game, they still ran for over 5 yards per carry against one of the best run defenses of the National Football League. I've never seen this in the 21 years I've covered this football team. I just cannot believe what they're doing on the ground, and nobody's coming close to stopping them. It looked like the first quarter they were trying to feel it out, nothing great, and the second quarter they went off. And as the game went on, and I said to you in text, I was like, if they keep this up, they might run for over 300, but they lost their edge a little bit at times.
Yeah.
But still for 238, it's ridiculous. Once again, over 40 carries. It's just – you can't make this up. How can you predict this? This is ridiculous.
I don't know. I mean, and even more impressive. Well, see, I keep wanting to say that, but then I keep forgetting that this Washington team is so undermanned that it might have been a different result if there were a lot more players on the field for Washington. I was going to say that it's really impressive what the Eagles did, especially because they had Sua Opeta at left guard and Nate Herbig at right guard. You're down your top 4 guards that you started the season with, right? Sayamalu, Brandon Brooks, Dickerson, and Driscoll. So that's your top 4 guards right there. So they're technically on guard 5 and 6, and they're still bulldozing. But we do have to couch it by saying it's
I don't agree with you there.
Washington team. Why? I mean, you don't think it would have been easy? You think
John Allen and Payne started, and they also had their third tackle that Montez Sweat played. Understand he just got back from IR. He did have a big splash play in the first half.
Yeah,
they
Landon
moved
Collins is
Allen
a big part of their run defense. It's not just about the tackles can cause the penetration, but it's the linebackers and safeties who really come inside and make the gap, fill the gaps, and make the tackles. And when Landon Collins went out, it was like, who's going to stop them? They already didn't have
second level runs. I'll agree with you on that one. On the second level, they didn't have anyone to hit. And Jamin Davis is trying to figure it out. He's just not ready.
Yeah,
that's my understanding from people who graded his tape. He's moved around because he wasn't playing. He was playing middle, then not middle, and now he's back in the middle. Cole Holcomb's still there. I was just amazed, and from what we could see on TV and on FiOS, you could again, it's TV copy, but you could slow it down. You could see the double teams. They're just like, it's synchronized. It's just really remarkable. I still say it. Nobody is coming close to stopping the run game. I don't care who it is. The Giants won't, barring something unforeseen.
Oh yeah,
we'll see what Dallas can do in Week 18. But the only thing, now I understand it rained. But the Eagles were going against, once William Jackson got hurt, this is where I thought they would have more success, but because they only threw the ball 26 times, was it? Yeah, 26 times. You don't know, and plus it rained. But again, Hurts was very efficient, and I said only 26 times. He's still 296, pretty damn good.
Yeah, and completed 77% of his passes. So that definitely was A very efficient performance by him, buoyed by that run game and offensive line, and a really nice catch, by the way, by Devontae Smith. I don't want to forget that.
The
on the
sideline
there, that was
awesome.
Whew, when I first saw it, I'm like, oh my god, he's like 5 feet out of bounds. But then I saw the replay, I'm like, unbelievable. Kept both feet in bounds when he made the play. That was unbelievable. So good job all around there. All right, we can get into the defense in a second. First, if you know, we always talk about DraftKings Sportsbook, and if you can download the DraftKings Sportsbook app now and use promo code ITB, all you do is bet $5 on any NBA team and win $150 in free bets if that team wins. That's promo code ITB this Christmas week at DraftKings Sportsbook, an official sports betting partner of the NBA. Must be 21 or older. Pennsylvania only. New customers only. Restrictions apply in partnership with Meadows Racetrack and Casino. See DraftKings.com/sportsbook for details. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. And of course, if you want to get an advantage over your sportsbook, just download BetQL. It's the only app you'll need to make smart bets. Their best bet computer model scans over 350,000 unique bets a year to give you a best bet recommendation for every game across all major sports. And it gives you the reason why you should make the bet. Their model covers everything from spreads to over-unders, player prop bets. And if you don't want to use the model, just ditch it, because BetQL's got all the necessary tools for your betting research needs, including sharp data and line movement, team summaries, lineup and injury breaking news, even a leaderboards to track your success. So head to the App Store or Google Play Store now to download BetQL. You can also go to the website try.betql.co/ITB to get started. Just use the promo code ITB at checkout for 25% off their subscription offerings. And don't miss their sportsbook offers page. If you live in one of the eligible states, you can claim free offers upon signing up at one of the many sportsbooks listed. Don't miss out on the chance to beat your sportsbook this football season using BetQL. All right, defense. I already gave my soapbox, on the philosophy.
How much to add? That was pretty good. That's what I thought.
I just don't think that they forced the issue very much. And honestly, I think if they did, I think they could have. The game could have been different. I mean, you could have forced a few turnovers. You could have returned a pick or a fumble or sacked Goedert 3 or 4 times. And I do give credit to Garrett Goedert. I mean, he did play well given the circumstances. Yeah. But I can't say the Eagles made it really, really difficult on him. It made it tough on him, but not really tough on him.
No, you set it up well. As you were saying it 10, 15 minutes ago, I was like, man, that's exactly what I was going to say. Mm-hmm. They had stunts. You could clearly see that. They don't blitz well, though. They got home late when they needed to. They got one really good blitz, but that's just something. You know what I want to see? I need to ask about, because Jernard Avery had that play where it looked like he was offside, but I guess he wasn't somehow. Mm-hmm. He definitely looked like he moved before the snap, but he somehow didn't go offside.
Yeah.
We saw against the Niners last year where he just dominated. This was it 2 years ago or last year when he got Nick Mullins badly?
That was last year. Hard to believe, but that was last year, yeah.
Yeah, I know. So many things have happened with this football team. But he's explosive. Someone's got to be able to blitz better than what they're showing. They are – I don't know if there's a stat for this or whatever, how much they get home. They're one of the worst blitzing teams I know of. Mm-hmm. They got to figure something out. They're lucky that their offense carried them. I understand, once again, 17 points or less. It's really remarkable that they're doing that. Mm-hmm. And that's a great stat. They're doing that. But they should be able to force more turnovers. I mean, this is, to me, the Saint game, they got up super, 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 super duper big. Mm-hmm. And the Saints scored 29, but let's face it, the game wasn't even that close. Right. But for some reason, I don't know why they cannot get home with their blitz when they do blitz, and because they're playing a lot of man coverage now compared to earlier this season. Something's got to give, but they're playing winning football. I'm going to give them credit. They have won, folks, 4 out of 5, 2 in a row. They're now 2-4 at home. Mm-hmm. And they play the lowly Giants this week, which it'll be either be Mike the Stork Glennon or the Stork. He's like 6'7". He's got a long neck.
Long Island's finest.
Yeah, he was once a pretty good prospect, but man, he's just totally finished.
Well, I mean, he's been in the league for 15 years, it seems now, right?
I don't even know. I've lost track of it. I remember going to NFL Films to watch and tape with him with Jaws and Cosell, and we were like, wow, this guy could spin it from North Carolina State. But anyway, things are set up pretty well for the Eagles here. The defense, just a couple things. I thought they got penetration, Cox, and it wasn't just a flash play. They blew up the run. I know Gibson hurt his toe in the first quarter after he had some really nice runs. They wound up slowing him down. That was a good thing. I thought the run defense improved after a slow start. Overall, what could I say? They did what they had to do, but it bothers me that they're not as aggressive as I'd like to see.
I'm totally with you on that. And Fletcher did play a nice game. He had I think he had 4 quarterback hits, 1.5 sacks. I know
Which is strong as hell. Yeah, that's strong.
He really is. But we also know that they should have dominated that Washington interior offensive line. They had a backup right guard, a third string center. That was ripe for the picking. So I'm not going to sit here and like beat my chest about how great they were. That's what they were supposed to do. They dominated up front. Good job. Again, TJ Edwards almost had a really nice pass breakup on McLaurin on third down. That was a big play.
Huge.
He continues to make really important plays. Did I see Darius Slay in?
Yes, you did.
Running on a fake end around on a key fourth down. Yeah,
because that was one of the plays in the late second quarter, maybe late second quarter, I think, when they're deep in Washington. Okay, whatever it was, that got because that's an unscouted look. They didn't know what to do, and it was to Sanders. I think was it a play to Sanders?
Yeah, it was a fourth down run. I think it got 10 yards down to like the 2-yard line.
Yeah, that was it. Yeah, and it worked. They had some unscouted looks we saw in the first half where I was like, wow, look at that motion. I've never seen them do that before. And then I see number 2. I'm like, it's one of these where I squint. I'm like, wait, is that Darius Slay?
Yeah, but I'm trying to figure out what the point of it was. I mean, as opposed to putting like
maybe get them to call timeout
or somebody else there. I guess.
Right. Well, make them move. Make them follow him. Make them follow because they don't know what to do. They
followed any wide receiver running an orbit motion like that. You would have followed. I mean,
but that's what they wanted. They wanted to cause some kind of thought. Either they're going to call timeout or they're going to not know what the hell to do, which was the case. They didn't know what he had. Sanders had so much room; he should have scored. But that was a good play. I love the play call. This one thing I do have to say. Offensively, which I forgot to talk about, their play call was terrific. The run scheme, it wasn't just inside and outside zone. It was the way that they did it. The pulls were great. The timing, the synchronized part of the run game where they would get out on the edge and blow guys off. And Suapeta, other than a knucklehead hold that he had nothing to do with the play. That was the problem. And Mailata had a couple gaffes.
Yeah, that's another one. He bear hugs the defensive back.
Why?
Why? What
are you doing?
Just block him. Just block him with your arms. Roll him over.
Did you see on the long run, super long run, Mailata just stoned Jamin Davis? I mean, I felt Jamin Davis stunned him. He just stunned him. He almost like punched him. I'm like, whoa.
Yeah, maybe he was mad about his own penalty. He took it out on Jamin. He might have been mad about his holding penalty. Yeah. And he took it out on Jamin Davis.
Oh, it was funny because I didn't see it till the replay. I was like, oh man, did you see that? That was pretty cool.
Right.
And you see, I think Kelsey was pissed they didn't score. He went like, he clapped his hands like, man, they should have scored there. But this offensive line. I don't know what else. The superlatives. I don't know what else to say. Their timing is unbelievable. Mm-hmm. You stick these backups in. We could say all we want about some of the backups that had to play on their starters were in there on their D tackles, but they once you got to the second level, there's some lighter guys in there that shouldn't have been in there. But as you said earlier, the Eagles are playing with. They're down to the nitty gritty at guard here. They don't have anywhere else to go.
Yeah,
and they kick their ass. Pretty
might
amazing.
Be you and me starting guards by next if there are any more injuries.
Well,
there.
2 years ago when I was 245, I'm 207. That ain't gonna happen.
Let me ask you this question. It's completely irrelevant to the game, but it just sticks out in my head. All right, so Derek Burnett has a reputation for hitting quarterbacks late and always getting penalized for it, and it's clearly impacted him and the team at times. Do you think that's why he allowed Garrett Gilbert to essentially block him on an end around? I mean, I'm thinking you finally have a free chance to blow a quarterback up, and instead you let him ride you down the field. I was shocked.
That's kind of what that question would be if we were pre-COVID. You know how we would go up in the locker room and be able to ask, hey, what happened there in that play? Yeah. That's what I would have done, or any of the reporters should have done or would have done, is they could have gone up to him and just asked him, because he's not a guy who he's not a guy that will go on the Zoom after the game.
Right.
So he would have been a great one. Yeah, that's a good point. I would have loved to have known. But this is, look, it's I think if you're an Eagles fan, obviously you are if you're watching this. I know there might be a couple straggler
Mhm.
Washington fans, but you
Mhm.
got to be pretty happy after that awful start where like this can't be happening. Like this
Right.
is it can't be the Joe Webb. It can't be Joe Webb game number 2. It can't be. Can't be. First
Cannot.
quarter, I was like, what the hell?
Yeah, I just had this feeling, man. I just felt like that everything you saw in the first quarter was a byproduct of just a long layoff for both the team and an even longer one for the quarterback. I really did. I sensed that things were gonna only because I just didn't think Washington could really keep it up for 4 quarters as undermanned as they were. And I kept saying, if the Eagles just stop, like if you don't bear hug a guy when you don't have to, and you don't false
Exactly.
start, you don't get a
They'll clean it
ball
up.
bouncing off your ankle. It's like
Yeah,
I just had a
true.
feeling that it was looking like that in the first quarter. But I got to tell you though, I thought in the second half I did start to get a little concerned because I felt that they were allowing them to stay in the game, and that was bad. Really at halftime when it was what was it? It was 10-10. And then when the Eagles come out and go up 17-10 and then kick the field goal and get 20-10, I thought it was over. I
Oh, they
didn't think
scored
there
20
was a
straight.
chance at that point that Washington could win. But when they got that touchdown run, I was like, I can't believe this. This
Oh,
game is
Jared
flipping
Patterson's.
over.
Yeah.
Yeah, the Patterson.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I know.
after the after that
Yep.
reverse that DeAndre Carter took down to the or no, it was I
Former
forget
Eagle.
what it was. Somebody got it down to a
Yeah.
one. Yeah,
Yeah.
I was really surprised, and that's when I started to say to myself,
Uh-oh.
the Eagles are getting what they deserve, at least defensively, by not just being more aggressive. I mean,
Mhm.
you're going to let them run on you and dig, and they really just dinked and dunked, right? The only big
Yeah.
shot they were able to get was the McLaurin shot,
And
right? That was the
then,
only play that they
yes.
had.
Yes, and Garrett Gilbert makes an unbelievable throw to Ricky Seals-Jones
Mm-hmm.
under duress. I don't know how he made it. It's funny.
Yep.
People are killing Mark Sanchez for being pro Eagles. I guess apparently I didn't. I had to stand down for most of the game. Not on purpose. It's just I typically do that when I'm watching from my office, and I get. I know it's funny. People are killing him. The Washington fans are like, "What is did he play for Washington too? Am I mistaken? Didn't he
Yes,
play for
he played
Washington?
for Washington as well. Yep,
Yeah.
played
It's
for
just
both
it's
teams.
funny. I would say I only heard maybe 15 minutes of the game sound
Well,
wise.
he
Sort
made
of
a
sounded
remark
like that.
about Brandon Graham, Vinny Curry, and somebody else not being very nice to him when he had to come into a game and for Washington. They were all over him.
Okay. Yeah, that's
I
right.
don't.
He did
I
play.
think I didn't think he was pro Eagles. I thought he was pro Mark Sanchez. I felt like Mark Sanchez was talking about Mark Sanchez all game long.
Uh,
I don't know. Maybe it
yeah.
just stuck out to me. It just seemed like he couldn't wait to toot his own horn.
He look, I thought he did I just thought when I heard I thought he was a little bit pro Eagles, but when they took over in the
Yeah.
second quarter and then they did, I mean, when they scored, you and I agreed in the third quarter, we texted each other, oh, this game looks over. They scored 20 straight. Washington's no answer.
Yep.
But I'm hoping before we get out of here, I'm hoping Jonathan Gannon learns from this.
Mm-hmm.
He's got to do a better job of, like, Garrett Gilbert kept him in the game. They should have annihilated him, and they didn't. This is. I get it. They only gave up 17 points, and it was a relatively decent game for them defensively. But you got to be more aggressive than this. He's got to look. He's been here not long enough now. He knows his personnel. We talked about this in the pregame.
Yeah.
Enough of the passiveness. I get that they did stunts, but you gotta bring the house. It's Sadiq Charles had to start at guard. He's not a guard. He's a tackle.
Mm-hmm.
The third string setter Ismail played there. Sam Cosmi just came off IR. Come on, man, you got to beat these guys. They didn't get to them that as much as they should have.
Yep, we are definitely integrated. This is the first time all year long I've really come after Gannon for not being aggressive, right? I mean, because earlier in the year I was a little bit more, look, he's got to figure this out. He's got a
Yeah.
bad run defense going on, but now, they almost find no excuse for it, and we'll see. All right, I got one more thing for you before we get out of here.
Sure.
First, I want
Good.
to tell everybody to go check out our friends at PHLSportsNation.com, enhancing the fans' experience with their coverage of all Philadelphia sports teams. For the fan, by the fan is their motto, so make sure you check out all of that great fan content at PHLSportsNation.com, and you can find them on Twitter at PHLSportsNation. We'll pause real quick for a word for our other great sponsors, including our friends at Sky Motor Cars. And if you hop into Sky Motor Cars out there in Westchester, PA, make sure you tell them Adam and Jeff sent you. You will get a great deal. So, Adam, I want to wrap it up with this. The Eagles climbed to 500. It's been a long journey, but they are finally 500 there. We know they have 3 NFC East games left. It wasn't a great weekend for them as far as not only the game being moved and everything, but San Francisco won, Minnesota won. New Orleans is all of a sudden now 7-7, and even though the Eagles have the tiebreaker, New Orleans has a pretty easy schedule too. They don't have to face anybody nearly as tough as the Cowboys over the last 3 weeks. So what do you think the Eagles have to do over the next 3 games, record-wise? Do you think they have to go 3-0?
Well, the Eagles right now, as we speak, Wednesday morning, they have the AC. They're Minnesota's got this strength of schedule, some one of those tiebreakers.
Right.
But the Eagles have the tiebreaker over the Saints. The Panthers aren't getting in it, and Atlanta's not getting in it. It's really, to me, for the last spot, it's the Saints, Washington, and the Eagles and the Vikings. So you got 4 teams for one spot theoretically. Mm-hmm. And the Eagles have it over the Saints. We'll see. Obviously, they just got this first Washington game. The Eagles will eliminate Washington in 2 weeks from now, if less than 2 weeks from now, actually. Right. If they can get that. The Saints. The one game they have, the Saints have that's tough is against Miami, who's crazy. Won 6 in a row. Something like that.
Yeah.
What do they have to do to win? Obviously, minimum of 2-1 will give them a real chance.
Yeah, I think so.
3-0 will do it. And then, because first of all, Minnesota, good luck. They host the Rams, who certainly still need that game. Mm-hmm. So the Rams won on Thursday night in a yawner. Tuesday night, Jesus. Then they have to play. Then the Vikings have to play at Green Bay. So theoretically, the Eagles are in really good shape here, as long as they don't have a gaffe against the absolutely horrific and hard Giants of New York.
As long as that second game against Washington in 2 Sundays is going to be very interesting. You would hope, just for competition's sake, that it's a much more even game, and it's going to be in Washington. They're going to be upset, from this loss and want revenge, and that it might the playoffs might come down to that game. So we'll have to see. Who does Washington have next week or Sunday, I should say?
Washington plays Dallas, so they're in trouble.
Oh well, yeah. Although Dallas hasn't played great, but yeah, that's another. They just played each other.
Well, their defense is Dallas' story is their defense. Their offense, I don't understand. They're just Zeke's not Zeke. Dak's numbers are way down. Cosell said that Greg continues to say that he said their offensive line is really struggling. The other thing is they're one of the only teams that has rotations in game. It's really ridiculous what they're doing. They're getting away with it because their defense is playing great, and they will host Washington on Sunday Night Football. SNF. Sunday Night Football. They should blow them out.
Tuesday night football, Monday night, Thursday night. We got football every night of the week nowadays.
How about my guy Dan Byer on Fox Sports Radio, who's great. He George Reister, who does the show with him, you might remember him from the Jaguars tight end. He hated it. Dan's like, we should have football every week. He wants to see opening week next year. Play football Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday.
It's going to happen before you and I are 6 feet under. I guarantee you.
Right. And they hit. I know nothing about this. So they hit me up with it. I'm like, I don't know. It's interesting. That's different. Okay. Anyway.
All right. That'll do. We'll be back Friday morning. I'm sorry. Friday. I am so screwed up with the schedule. We'll be back Friday morning, 6 a.m. It'll be our film review of this game here, this win against Washington. It'll be our preview also of the game against the Giants. And God, it's hard to believe that we'll be turning around and do another pregame show on Sunday, starting at 10 a.m., as long as everything is normal this week and no games get postponed or moved or whatever. So let's knock on wood for that. That'll do it for this edition of Inside the Birds, the leading podcast in Eagles Intel. Big thanks to our producer, Hunter Brody. You can check out his work on YouTube. His channel is called Sports Talk with Broads. He's got a pretty cool website called broadsmedia.com and his Twitter account, @Broads81. And as always, we thank you for flying with us inside the bird.